Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet.
Dr. Doreen Grand-Pichet is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen. Okay, I want to get to Pretty. Pretty says that they said, hello, Dr. Doreen and Shannon. How do you teach a child advanced emotions like embarrassment? She wants us to know that she is a skills user, but she wants to know what are the prerequisite skills required to teach this advanced emotion? This is a great question. I love this. Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful question. You know, emotions it's a really long series of lessons in skills, and it gets to a very advanced point. So an embarrassment is a tough one because that is one that you gotta even, like, there's so many typically developing adults that need work on that one. Because embarrassment is one that produces so many defense mechanisms that we don't even want to admit to it. But essentially, I think teaching emotions, you start with just identification of emotions by facial expression. So it's essentially, you know, show me happy, show me sad, show me all those types of things, so that the child starts to, and you start with pictures, I believe, and so that it's much more kind of clear. And then you do three-dimensional, like just identification of what it looks like, not what it means, just what it looks like. And then you start matching that to cause. So by this point, the child would have had cause and effect lessons. And so now you're going to start looking at what are the things that actually make you feel a certain way. So if you fall off a bicycle, so like a picture of a child falling off a bicycle and then crying. So how does she feel? She's sad. Why is she sad? Because she fell off the bicycle. And then those become more and more, I guess, not so clear, like more inferential is what we call it. So there's like, you know, a teacher in a classroom is looking angry, and then there's a sad child in the classroom, and you'd have to say, how does this child look? And obviously you're now good at identifying the facial expressions of sadness. So it's sad, but why? And you have to be able to infer that it's probably because the teacher yelled at them, because probably the teacher looks kind of angry. So it's got to have to do that. So that's how you start going into kind of advanced emotions. At the same time, anytime an emotional reaction occurs, you have to sit down with the child and describe, like, label the emotion, talk about what caused the emotion in them, talk about what they can do to overcome the emotion or allow them to feel it. Like, because during regular life, they're going to have a bunch of emotions, right? They're going to be feeling, you know, happy, sad, left out, even embarrassed. And those are the ones that you point out as they occur. But a lot of the work that we do usually with emotions, we use these really amazing pictures that you can purchase that have, you know, tons of different situations leading to various emotions. I do want to tell you that generally speaking, individuals on the spectrum have a hard time identifying facial expressions that have to do with emotions. So keep that in mind as you're teaching this. Initially, it's got to be pretty exaggerated, and then gradually it can be more like, excuse me, what you see in the normal world.
So I have a crazy question. I want to know what it is that they're wanting them to be embarrassed about.
Also, a very good question.
Because you know, for a caregiver to ask that question, I wonder if the problem isn't actually something else.
That's
like
true.
Is there something that you're wanting this individual to stop doing? And so you're thinking, well, if they would be embarrassed by it, they would stop doing it. Because there's always, what I've learned over the years from you is that there's more than one way of getting where you need to get
100%,
to.
100%. And
changing clothes. Yeah. So I'm imagining Pretty then, are they taking off their clothes in public? Is that what's happening?
Let us know, because changing clothes in itself is okay sometimes. And that's such, I'm so glad you asked that, Shannon, because sometimes we're embarrassed.
Right.
And I don't know that you necessarily want your child to be embarrassed. There are a couple of things where embarrassment is adaptive, like getting naked in public. That's a really good example of that.
Yeah.
So, Pretty, let us know what you mean by changing clothes.
Yeah.
Great.
Because I think almost everybody I know that has kids on the spectrum have gone through that really awkward phase where, they were these cute kids and they would sometimes take off their clothes in public, and we all got through it. And it was like, oh, got to take care of that. But then all of a sudden they get to a certain age where it's no longer cute. The really good friend of mine, who her teenage son came out of the bathroom with his pants off, and there was an elderly woman going. It was like at an IHOP. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
And there was an elderly woman and he looked like a teenager. And this elderly woman, it was like the end of her existence, because she thought that there was this grown man flashing her. And the mom was like, oh my gosh, he's got to learn this, right? Because at a certain point, it's no longer cute. Then it's a problem. Then it's like police officers involved.
Yeah.
But, and I think for us, Dr. Grampiche, we think, okay, well, I need to, help them to understand that they should be embarrassed about it. But the truth of the matter is we could bypass that and just give them rules, right? And say, here are the rules, and for older kids or kids who are a little bit more advanced, we can tell them what the consequences would be.
Yeah.
But I can remember explaining this to my 5-year-old and saying, we only take our pants off in a place where the door is shut, and that nobody else that we don't know that isn't mom or dad are with us. That's the rule. That's the rule. And he, he was. Some people are this way, not everybody, but he's somebody who was like, oh, that's the rule. Yeah. Then we don't do that. He didn't even at that point didn't need to know why. He just was like, oh, there's a rule. Yeah. Pretty has not written back in. Pretty are they taking off their clothes in public? I want to pivot back to Pretty for a second. That Pretty says that it's because he's not feeling shy to change his clothes in front of us at home, and that he's 9 years old. So she wants to cultivate that in him, that even in front of the family, that he understand the rule, that he needs to, that there's no inhibition is really, I think, what we're saying here, that it just happens, and he's not understanding that at 9, the rules are changing and it's time to take it elsewhere.
Yeah, and you totally nailed this one, Shannon, in terms of like, it's not really about teaching him embarrassment. It's about giving him a rule right now that, we don't change our clothes in front of everyone. And that's the rule. And so you can have someone who's your caregiver helping you in your room when it's private, but just teach him every time he's changing his clothes. Step 1, look around. Is anyone else there? Is it my caregiver? That's okay. Is it anyone else? This is not okay. It's really
there you go. Yeah. And if you think about it, it makes sense, right? When they're babies, we change them here, there, everywhere, right? And then when they're toddlers, we think nothing of changing them in the middle of the living room. Yeah. And then even later, we have them put on their clothes in the living room in front of us. So, it's like he's progressed. We always used to make a big deal. Whenever there was a birthday, we'd go, okay, new rules. You're 5 now. That means you can go in the refrigerator by yourself. Oh, and you'd be like, what? You know what I mean? And even now, he just turned 18, and we sat down and we went, here are the new rules. Now that you're 18, we don't get to tell you anything. He loved that. So we made it exciting. So you can totally get this.
That is so cute.
Well, it is what it is. Thanks for watching Autism Live. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.
To subscribe, click here.
And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.